Well, good morning. So today we're going to change the oil here on our Odyssey van, and just things are in a little bit different spot than the Sonoma, but it's pretty much the same process. We'll just run through it really quickly. So I've gathered up everything I need. There's a rag and a funnel, the drain catch pan, my socket wrenches, and my oil filter wrench. There you see an air filter in the bag there, and the oil filter's down next to it. This car actually takes 5 W20 as opposed to the Sonoma that took 10 W30. So this is a thinner, less viscous oil than the Sonoma had. Got 5 quarts of that. And again, just another $20 or so deal with a filter and 5 quarts of oil. And you can see that same deal applies if you get it in the 5 quart individual quarts or as the 5 quart jug. And then to get ready to do this here, yeah, so I did check the owner's manual. And again, that's where it'll tell you what weight of oil to put in and the amount. So this is also takes 4.5 quarts, so we'll likely put in just about that much. And again, you just want to check your emergency brake is on there. And the hood latch for this car is really tucked away there. And then as you stick your hand under here, you're going to feel some sort of second latch. So the inside latch will get the hood up a little bit. There's a spring in there that does that. And then somewhere around the center part of your hood, you're going to feel something else to kind of pull up on and release a second latch. So in this car, the hood stand is a little further back, but it goes right up in the hood, just like in the Sonoma. So here's the oil cap, and you can see also on there it says 5W20. That's where we'll be putting the new oil in. I'll go ahead and undo that. And there's the dipstick for this car. And if we go underneath, there's the oil filter that will be taken off. And I hope that's lined up on the drain plug nut right there that I'm feeling. And I think in this car it's also a 15 millimeter, so we'll get our socket wrench out and see about loosening that up. I hope that's a little better view there of the drain plug nut that we're going to be loosening up. So here I've got my drain pan in place. I've loosened up the nut with the box end wrench there, and we'll just get that nut off and let the oil start draining out. And just like I promised, I do occasionally drop that nut right in the bucket there. We'll get it out later. Well, I just figured I'd show you, sort of compare the oil filter in the Sonoma to this one here. You can see it's a lot shorter. It's about the same diameter, same technology. Got holes with a little one-way valve behind the little holes there. Big hole in the middle to thread it onto the shaft. And the oil goes in through these small holes, out through the big hole, and into your engine where it's needed. So there you're looking at the used oil in the drain pan, and like I said before, I usually about 50% of the time end up dropping that drain plug right in there. So we'll have to fish it out. I'm just going to stick my wrench in there just to get some idea where it landed up, and it's right there. And it's not changing your oil if you don't get a little bit dirty. We'll clean that up, clean my fingers up, and stick that back in. Just comparing it to the Sonoma, this one doesn't actually have a little magnet at the end, and it's a little shorter, but does the same job. I got the camera propped up this time so I don't have to do this one-handed. And it's a little tricky actually in this car because the oil fill is a little hard to get at. And this last quart we'll put in about half. And save that for the chainsaw. Used oil also works good in a chainsaw. Sorry, works well in a chainsaw. So the dipstick's a little different in this car. It's actually a cable, and then at the very end has these little, again, just little hatch marks there. It'll show you the low point and the high point, and we'll just make sure that our oil's somewhere in the middle of that. Push it down all the way. And it looks like we're right at the upper limit there. Just where we want to be. So the one big drawback to those 1 quart bottles is for the recycling. You know, it's a lot easier to carry a 5-gallon jug than a whole bunch of 1 quart or a 5-quart jug rather than a whole bunch of 1 quart jugs. So what I'm going to do is make sure these two that have used oil in them already are all topped off, and then if I need to, I'll fill up some more of the 1 quart jugs. And again, we're just going to turn the oil filter upside down and let that drain out overnight. Okay, so the one thing we had to do in this car that we actually didn't have to do in the Sonoma was reset that maintenance light. And it's a little yellow wrench that comes on over here, and then an oil life percent number that you see there. You know, I actually tried to do this on camera several times. There's two issues with that. One, I can never remember actually how to do it, so I always have to look it up on the internet whenever I go to do this. And it's a little bit different in each car. In this particular car, after a couple of attempts that didn't work very well, you have to press and hold this button until the oil life percentage words start blinking, and it was down. It wasn't at 100% when I started doing this. Those start blinking, and then everywhere on the internet said just push this again and it'll reset. Well, it just stopped it from blinking but didn't reset it. So I found on this car what you actually have to do is push that down, hold it down, and then after it starts blinking you let up and then push it in and hold it down until you see the oil life reach 100% there. Anyway, it's a little bit different in each car. When we do the oil change on the Prius, I can show you that one as well. It's a little bit different. Some of them involve holding a button down while you turn the engine on. This one, you just set the key to the on position and hold down that little button there. Anyway, that'll do it. We're going to actually change the air filter in this car now. So here we're back under the hood. This is the air filter canister here. And basically what an air filter does is the engine draws air to help it burn the gasoline, and you just want to make sure that you're not getting debris into the engine. And to tell you the truth, I know it's been pretty regularly that we've changed the air filter in this car. I couldn't remember the last time I've done it because I wasn't doing a very good job logging my maintenance, and I've remedied that now. But I figured that I would go ahead and just replace the air filter, because I think it has been a while. They're pretty simple. They look just like, kind of like a thicker version of the air filters that you have for your furnace or for your air conditioning. Basically, air flows through this, and anything that's not air hopefully gets trapped in the little filter there. So I'm going to try to set the camera up because I'm going to need both hands to show you how to unlatch that. And we'll stick the new filter in, and then we'll be done. So this is a pretty simple process. The air filter cap usually is held on by 3 or 4 screws or clips in different cars. In my case, this is just 3 Phillips head screws. We'll go ahead and loosen those up. I misspoke. There are 4 screws. And they don't come all the way. Oh, there are 4 screws. And I didn't loosen them up enough. They do have a little retainer on them here, which is nice, so that you don't drop them and lose them. And I thought I had them all the way unscrewed because of that retaining mechanism, but I didn't. There we go. And you don't need to get this up very far. You get access to the filter, and there you can see the kind of gunk that builds up on it over time. It's actually in not too bad a shape, but probably was ready to be replaced. The new one slips in. Make sure you've got the rubber seat all oriented. Should go in the same orientation you took the old one out, and it should fit. Guys and gals at the auto parts stores are always very friendly and helpful, helping you pick out the right size filter for your car. There is a big book, usually by the oil filters and air filters, that'll tell you for the different brands what number filter to get. And it's just pages and pages of giant tables, and the trick there is they're all small print, so you got to make sure you're on the right line. But this one is, for example, an SA10013. That's the size of STP filter for this car. The Fram filters will have a little bit different numbering to them. But I wouldn't necessarily recommend one brand over another. They all do about the same thing. They stick some paper in there to catch anything that might harm your engine. Nice and secure. Job done.